Hi, it's Katrina! From lakes that turn teddy bears to stone to underground caves with entirely new species, here are 10 real places on Earth that seem scientifically impossible. Number 10. The Pink Lake. Usually you'd think of a lake as being deep blue or gray, or maybe a less appealing color because of pollution. But what about bright pink? Well, that's what a number of lakes in Australia are like, and for a long time it was completely unclear what made them that way. Stories were told of how they were the site of a flamingo massacre or full of brightly colored shrimp, and there were more reasonable suggestions that it was a result of high salt content or because of microalgae. Researchers looking at Lake Hillier on the southwestern coast announced in 2015 that they had found the cause: bacteria. They took DNA samples from the lake, and while they found 10 different species of salt-loving bacteria and a number of species of algae that were red or pink, more than 33% of the DNA collected was from one species of bacteria called Salinibacter ruber, and that it was this, not microalgae, that was causing the color. The best thing about the pink lakes is that they're totally safe to swim in, so if you want to dive in a completely unusual environment, it's worth visiting next time you're in Australia. Number 9. The sleeping city of Kalachi. Since March of 2013, the residents of two towns in Kazakhstan, Kalachi and Krasnogorsk, have suffered from a peculiar illness. With a combined population of 810 people, the dusty towns on the Kazakh steppe were hidden away and almost no one had even heard of them, until more than 140 people became affected by a mysterious sleeping disease. Reports were made of them suddenly falling asleep, even while walking, and they would wake up with headaches, memory loss, grogginess, and weakness. This could happen multiple times, and in some cases, the person was asleep for as long as 6 days. Old and young people were affected. Some would see crazy hallucinations, and even pets exhibited symptoms. The cause of these problems was speculated on for years, with some thinking it was to do with nearby uranium mines, others thinking it was counterfeit alcohol, and various researchers blamed a mass psychosis. Eventually, though, it was confirmed that the uranium mines were to blame. They were responsible for releasing high concentrations of carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons, which are known to have these kinds of effects on humans and animals. It is lucky that these people survived and lived to tell the tale. Number 8. Pennsylvania's Ringing Rocks. As the name would suggest, the 128-acre Ringing Rocks County Park in Pennsylvania has a number of rocks in an 8-acre area that exhibit some unusual qualities. Normally, if you were to clunk a rock, you'd expect to hear a thud sound, but the ones here do something completely different. They emit a metal clang when hit with a hammer or another rock. The sound is so strange that you'd think they were hollow and made of metal, as opposed to being made from stone. Many tests have been carried out on these rocks to try and understand them, but still no answers have been found. What has become clear is that each rock produces tones that are too low for us to hear, but when the sounds from multiple rocks interact with each other, they form a sound that we are able to register. The rocks are made from a substance called diabase, which contains iron and minerals, much like other stones. Why they make this sound is a complete mystery, and so is their location. Usually, clusters of rocks are found at the base of hills as a result of a collapse, but these ones are all on top of a hill. How did they get there? Number 7. The Petrifying Well. The River Nid in the county of Yorkshire, England, is home to one of the oldest charging attractions in England, a well that's thought to have been cursed by the devil. What's unusual about this place is that whatever object is left in the waters will eventually turn to stone. People realized the side of the well looks like a giant skull and either avoided it altogether or began to leave belongings near the well to watch them slowly turn to stone in a matter of weeks. There's a Victorian top hat and bonnet that was left there in 1853, and plenty of other items that have been left behind since. The first written record of the well comes from 1538, when locals believed the place to have miraculous healing powers. Tests of the water in recent times, though, have revealed what exactly is going on here. It has an extremely high mineral content that precipitates over objects and forms a hard shell around them. This is the same process that stalagmites and stalactites are formed, but in this case, it happens much, much faster. Teddy bears are a particularly popular choice to leave there because they are porous and can petrify from the inside out in a matter of months. Number 6. The Darvaza Gas Crater. The Darvaza Gas Crater, known by locals as the Door to Hell, is about 150 miles away from the capital city of Turkmenistan and is one of the most popular tourist attractions in the area. It's a sinister-looking place, even more so on the days that desert creatures are attracted to the flames. Sometimes swarms of thousands of spiders can be seen plummeting into the pit, suckered in by the hypnotic fires. It hasn't always been this way, though. In 1971, when the country was still a part of the Soviet Union, a team of geologists were searching for oil fields. Having found what they believed to be one, they began to drill. The problem was that they were wrong and were actually drilling into a pocket of natural gas that collapsed under the weight of their equipment. This created a crater that was 230 feet across and 65 feet deep and was releasing huge amounts of gas into the air. Animals in the surrounding area began to die, and it was decided that the only way to prevent a catastrophe was to set fire to the gas, something that's often done to control huge releases and is known as flaring. They believed it would burn out in a few weeks' time, but almost 50 years later, it still burns strong. Plans are supposedly being put into place to try and extinguish the flames and find a way to capture the gas, but as of yet, no one has any idea how to do it. Number 5. Socotra Island. Where's the most otherworldly place on Earth that you can think of? In terms of plant life, it has to be the Socotra Archipelago in the Indian Ocean, about 250 miles away from Somalia. The 4 islands have long been separated from the rest of Africa and have more than 6 million years of evolution that's unique to them. It's an extremely hot and dry climate and has given rise to more than 700 species of plants that don't grow anywhere else on Earth. One of the plants that stands out the most is the dragon's blood tree, one that grows in the shape of an umbrella. According to legend, the tree's purple resin used to be the dragon's blood, and in more recent times has been used in the manufacture of violins, paints, and varnishes. With such a wealth of unusual plant life, Socotra Island is truly a place unlike any other. Number 4. The everlasting lightning storm. Usually when there's a thunderstorm, you can just watch the light show from indoors and wait for it to pass. There's one place in the world, though, where there's a virtually continuous lightning storm, over the mouth of the Catatumbo River in Venezuela. Known as the Catatumbo lightning, it takes place between 140 and 160 nights a year, lasts for 10 hours a day, and sees as many as 280 strikes per hour. The frequency and intensity change along with prevailing weather conditions, with occasional periods of low activity and, conversely, times when it is far more active. The lightning comes from storm clouds about 3/4 of a mile high and is thought to be a result of the clouds making their way across swampy plains and then meeting the ridges of the nearby Andes Mountains. The lightning that occurs happens over and over, and it's one of the places in the world where lightning most definitely does strike twice. Number 3. The Blood Falls. First discovered in 1911, Antarctica's Blood Falls became famous for their grotesque appearance. Water from a river had stained the surrounding ice with a dark red hue, which was thought to be caused by algae in the water. Recent research has revealed the true cause of this unusual sight, but even knowing the causes doesn't make it any less spectacular and seemingly impossible. The water of the river that passes through the Taylor Glacier comes from a brine lake beneath the glacier. The lake has, over time, absorbed iron from the surrounding bedrock. This iron-rich salty water exists under such extreme pressure because of the glacier, and at such a high level of salinity that it's able to remain liquid despite being in freezing temperatures. Then it is forced up through the glacier to emerge as a river. The river deposits the iron as it crosses the ice, but that's not all it leaves behind. There is also evidence in the water of microbes that can survive in extremely hostile conditions. The environment that they've grown in is similar to how the Earth would have been in its formation and gives clues as to how life managed to survive in low oxygen surroundings. Number 2. Kawa Ijen. When you think of a volcanic eruption, the glowing red lava probably comes to mind. But what if that color was blue? Well, that's what happens at Mount Ijen in East Java. Not only is this unusual place a popular tourist attraction, but it's also one of the most dangerous work environments in the world. In 1968, workers constructed sulfur mines beneath the volcano, and now every day miners climb the 9,000-foot volcano at night before descending 3,000 feet into the crater where they chip away blocks of sulfur to earn around $5 a trip. The gases here sting the eyes, burn the lungs, and corrode the skin, and the nearby half-mile lake, a beautiful turquoise shade, has to be avoided at all costs. Its pH is lower than that of battery acid and can dissolve metal. It may be one of the most stunning mountains in the world, but it's easily one of the deadliest too. Number 1. Movile Cave. Movile Cave is a deadly and inhospitable place, but it's been separated from the rest of the world for so long that things work a little differently down here. It's in the southeast of Romania and was cut off from the rest of the world for 5.5 million years. The cave was discovered in 1986 by workers testing the ground to see if it would be a good place for a power plant. There is no light, and it's full of gases like carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide, but is still teeming with life, such as spiders, scorpions, woodlice, and centipedes. The hydrogen sulfide means that the cave smells of rotten eggs, and it's extremely treacherous to visit. Authorities have sealed the cave since its discovery, and fewer than 100 people have ever entered, practically all of them scientists. 48 new species have been found in the cave, 33 of which are found nowhere else. Most of them are slimy and slithery things like snails and shrimps that spend their lives escaping the water scorpions. The food source at the bottom of the food chain here is a thick film of bacteria that floats on the water surface, which means nothing has to survive on plant life. So little is known about life in the Movile Cave, but scientists are actually looking at it to theorize about distant planets. If such a wealth of life can survive in conditions that seem deadly to us, it means it's more than possible that life forms can exist in equally inhospitable planets elsewhere. Thanks for watching! Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye!